All right, what's going on? It's Bobby Skinner talking Giants. Eagles 48, Giants 22. Just a really bad loss for the Giants. Um, Going into this game, we knew it would take like perfect football and then some for the Giants to be able to win this game. And obviously that just didn't happen. And the Eagles, you don't realize how good the Eagles are. Like you watch them on TV, you look at stuff, but then when we were doing our prep for the preview pod in this game, it's like, man, they are just so good. Like everything that you do, they have answers for. And if you have a good play, they always punch back. I mean, they're just loaded at basically every position right now. The Giants would be outmatched by a good margin, even if they were at full strength and they're banged up and they're missing guys at key pieces like Adore, Leonard Williams, Xavier McKinney. Um, so this Eagles team is 12-1. They're the number one passing defense. They're the number one scoring offense. I mean, they're just really, really good. And there's moments you want back. There's some things I didn't like. Minor things I didn't like from coaching. I know everyone talks about coaching after losses, but for the most part, like there was a second down play action I didn't like, and and then like a third down run I didn't like from Mike Kafka. But besides that, I mean, they kind of did what they had. Starting with the top, like what the topic going into all of this was Saquon with the injury. He was a no-show with the injury. And your key players just didn't show up. Saquon, no-show. Andrew Thomas gave up a sack on a first down on the first drive of the game. Julian Love, who's a captain, does everything the right way, whiffs on a fourth down. Dexter Lawrence had a stat line of 1 tackle and 1 QB hit. I mean, your top guys didn't do much. And Daniel Jones, there's no like glaring mistakes, but he didn't do a ton. But I hate to do this because it's it's year 4, but I think watching this game, it's like, whoa, which play did Daniel Jones supposed to make the day? That's the other play I didn't like from Mike Kafka. It was a 3rd and 10, and it was the play that could have been intercepted by DJ. They ran mesh, so it was like, that's not a play you run on 3rd and 10. That's a play you run on 3rd and 3. That's the play I didn't like from Kafka. But the 3 plays that like kind of sealed it for the game was the 4th and 7 touchdown over Julian Love, the James Gillian dropped the punt, and then the A.J. Brown touchdown on the following play. I mean, all of that happened in an 8-play span. But circling back to the Saquon Barkley topic, he got 11 touches, and he's just clearly he's on the injury report finally, but he's been clearly injured. Like that goal line second down run he had where he just basically fell over. That was pretty bad. Like, I don't think he should have, going into this game, I didn't think if he was a 50-50 like the reports were saying, then he shouldn't have played in this game. Hopefully he didn't make it anything worse, but he's just been ineffective as of late. And the majority of that is on the offensive line. Part of that's on him and the injury and how he performs with the injury. But over the last 4 games, Saquon Barkley has 152 rushing yards on 53 carries. That's 2.9 yards per attempt. That's bad, right? Daniel Jones is the Giants' leading rusher over the last 4 games. Over the last 4 games, he has 9 more rushing yards on 6.2 yards per carry. So he's hurt and ineffective, and the O-line is just not giving them any help either. And as far as Daniel Jones in the passing game in this game, I think they could have went to the quick passing game more. They did a little bit of it, but then they would kind of get into their first down play action stuff. I can't get mad at them for totally doing it, but I thought the quick game, like the one good drive of the game for the Giants was the quick game passing. I think they could have done more to that, and I think that would have helped. Like their pass rush is ferocious, and just passing out of plays where you can get to the check down instead of 2nd and long, 3rd and long, where they're kind of pinning their ears back. And again, they are the number 1 passing defense. They have the 2nd most sacks in the NFL, only to the Dallas Cowboys, and then the most turnover, the most interceptions from their DBs. So it's just like they just were never able to get anything going. And then Evan Neal didn't play well. And then I guess if Andrew Thomas gives up a sack, there was another pressure I saw him give up. Had probably his worst game of the season. Like then you're in for a rough day if that's the way your best players are going to play. On defense, they were just outmatched in every single way that they did. Like, I have no problem with the way Wink Martindale called this game. Like, they sat back in zone and got torn up. First drive of the game, sat back in zone. 8-minute drive, got torn up. And then you're blitzing aggressive, and, they're able to get some big plays on you. And anytime, like, there was a really good play by the Giants, they were able to punch back, and that 4th down whiff by Julian Love hurts the most. Like, that is, that lets the game get away. And then the Giants end up punting, and then A.J. Brown gets a touchdown. So blitzing aggressive, you get beat up. And then the thing going into this game is we kind of gave the Giants a chance to screw stuff up in the passing game. but we're also like, they don't have any answers for their run game, and what did the Eagles do? They had 250 rushing yards and over 8 yards per carry. The only way to beat this Eagles offense, I thought, was to blitz. Like, that's like their 26th in EPA versus the blitz. Like, it was their only weak, quote unquote weak spot. And while Jalen Hurts has been extremely efficient throwing deep, he hasn't thrown deep a lot. But like blitzing him led to some good plays. Like Ojolari had 2 sacks. He had a DB sack. But every time they just were able to punch back. And when you have an offensive line like the Eagles do, it just gives you that ability. And Jalen Hurts is just running that offense to perfection. And they just have answers for everything. So I like the way that Wink Martindale called the game, but they just had better players. Like, it's just flat out. And you can use hindsight and say, oh, they should have sat back in zone the whole game. No, this is not the old Jalen Hurts. He's better. He will eat you alive. That's how Jalen Hurts wins. And he's done it all year. Oh, and also Boston Scott got his 9th touchdown in 7 games versus the Giants. He's got 16 career touchdowns in 56 games. 9 of them are versus the New York Giants. You just knew. Once he got that first handoff in garbage time, it's like, okay, here is the Boston Scott touchdown. Played us 7 games, and he scored a touchdown in all 7 of those. So we'll have a pod up for you in the morning. And then it's on to the Commanders. Appreciate you guys. Let's get back on track, and let's go Big Blue.